The Hawthorne name is synonymous with power and discretion. One of the wealthiest families on the East Coast, they control a financial empire, and more importantly, they control narratives. In 2017, an incident occurred on the family's rural estate, an event that local media covered for less than 24 hours before the story completely vanished. The incident, a fire in the mansion's guest wing, resulting in the death of a maintenance worker. The official version, issued by the family spokesperson, was clear: an accidental short circuit, a regrettable tragedy, and the family was devastated. But for those close to the situation, the story never quite closed. The speed with which the case was filed, the absence of crime scene photos, and the family's cold statement, "They said it wasn't our fault," left a trail of questions. Why would a family who could afford the best security experts accept such a quick report? Why was the employee's body cremated in record time? What was the Hawthorne family trying to cover up? What followed was not a police investigation, but a slow and silent erosion of the truth, revealing that power can buy silence, but it cannot erase the evidence that refuses to fit. The Hawthorne estate, known as the Preserve, was a 500-acre complex in Connecticut surrounded by stone walls and high-tech security. The incident occurred on the night of September 14, 2017. The victim was Mark Cole, a 32-year-old maintenance worker who was in the guest wing for a routine repair. The Hawthorne family was on the property, celebrating the patriarch's birthday. The official version, accepted by the local fire department, attributed the fire to a short circuit in old wiring. The Hawthorne family, through their lawyers, compensated Cole's widow with a generous sum under the condition of a strict non-disclosure agreement. The case was closed in less than a week. The mystery was not in the fire itself, but in the family's reaction. The first anomaly was the call log. The fire alarm in the guest wing went off at 11:15 p.m. The fire department was only called at 11:45 p.m., a 30-minute delay that, according to experts, was crucial to the fatality. The family claimed they tried to control the fire internally first. The second anomaly was the security guard's testimony. The property's head of security, who was fired shortly after the incident, reported in an informal statement that, upon arriving at the scene, the guest wing door was locked from the outside. He stated that the family was gathered in the main hall, in silence, watching the fire, without making any effort to enter or call for help. The victim, Mark Cole, was an exemplary employee with no history of problems. However, his wife reported that, in the weeks leading up to the incident, he was agitated, mentioning having seen something he shouldn't have seen in the guest wing. He had been called for an emergency repair that night, a repair that was not on the maintenance schedule. What did Mark see? Why did the family wait 30 minutes to call the fire department? And why was the security guard fired after giving a statement that contradicted the official version? The story was about to change from an accidental tragedy to an orchestrated cover-up. The great turning point did not come from the police or the justice system, but from an anonymous data leak. A year after the incident, a package of encrypted files was sent to a small investigative newspaper. The package contained the original forensic report from the fire department, which had been replaced by an edited version in the public records. The original report revealed 3 anomalies that made the short-circuit version impossible. First, the ignition anomaly. The fire did not start in the wiring, but in the center of the room, in fireplace that was full of burned papers. The original report indicated the presence of a chemical accelerant, suggesting that the fire was intentionally started. Second, the body anomaly. Mark Cole's body was not in the bed, but fallen near the door, with head injuries that were not consistent with the fall or the fire. The original report suggested that Cole was unconscious before the fire and that the injuries were from blunt force trauma. This contradicted the version that he was trying to escape. Third, the object anomaly. In the room, an object was found that should not have been there, a high-tech audio recording device, partially melted, but with the memory card intact. The device belonged to one of the Hawthorne patriarch's sons, known for his explosive temper. What was recorded on the memory card? The content was never publicly disclosed, but the original forensic report mentioned that the audio contained a heated argument between Cole and a family member, followed by a sound of impact, and finally, the sound of something being lit. The story became complicated with the incompatible testimony. The fired security chief, upon seeing the leak report, confirmed that the family was gathered in the main hall, but that the patriarch's hands were dirty with soot and that he himself was instructed to lock the guest wing door from the outside. The phrase, "They said it wasn't our fault," now sounded like a confession of guilt, disguised as a public statement. The Hawthorne family tried to suppress the leak with lawsuits, but the story was already out. The case was filed by the court as accidental death, but the lack of real conclusion hangs over the story. What really happened that night? The only certainty is that the official story doesn't fit, leaving a trail of strange decisions and loose ends that were never tied up. The case of the fire at the Hawthorne estate was closed in the courts, but the truth remains burning. The wealthy family managed to buy legal silence, but they cannot erase the original forensic report or the security guard's testimony. What did Mark Cole see that led to a fatal argument? What did the recording device contain that justified burning down the entire guest wing? The mystery is not what caused the fire, but the intention behind the cover-up. The Hawthorne family, with their power and discretion, tried to rewrite history, but the persistence of the anomalies, the chemical accelerant, Cole's head injuries, the recorded audio, and the door locked from the outside are evidence that refuses to fit the accident narrative. The phrase, "They said it wasn't our fault," is proof that the fault existed but was transferred to silence. The story dissolves into speculation, and that's where the discomfort lies. You can close a case, but you cannot close a mystery that defies human logic. The Hawthorne estate is now a monument to the lack of conclusion and the feeling that something fundamental. If this case messed with your head, follow the channel for more stories like this. We share real events that were documented, but never fully explained. And if there's a case you think should be told here, leave it in the comments. Until the next video, bye-bye.